Stephen!
Andrew!
Would you care to spend another quiet night inside number 9 with me?
As always, of course I will.
So it's the Series 4 finale, Tempting Fate. It's the origin story of the hair. Here we are.
Is it?
I don't know.
Is it, though?
It's not, is it?
Is it? Well, it could be. Well, it's not. I guess it's not necessarily an origin story, but there's a question as to the extent to which it ties everything that we've seen in Inside Number 9 together, or doesn't.
Yeah. That's a great.
It's entirely
way to
possible.
Start. Yeah,
it's kind of up to you, really.
I like it. Yeah. So this episode was directed by Jim O'Hanlon, produced by Adam Tandy, written by Rhys Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton. First aired on the 6th of February 2018. I've got 2020 written here for some reason. It wasn't 2020. Yeah, Tempting Fate. Have you got a nice little synopsis to set us on our way?
I can set us on our way. A team of 3 council cleaners attend a job at a council flat where the occupant has passed away. They're there to clean things up, but they find a very familiar looking object which leads us down a rabbit hole of things. You interrupted and I lost my thread.
Sorry.
It'll do. It's fine.
It's just like what you did.
So did I, and that's what put me off.
Yeah, so this is our traditional horror end to the series. Seems to be a pattern that's emerged over the 4 series so far. And this is pretty horrific in moments.
It is, yeah. It's the ending is really tough.
Yeah. And the Maz's death is pretty out of the blue, disgusting.
Brutal. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It is out of the blue, but not out of the blue when you consider looking back afterwards. Little clues that were being dropped in as to what was going to happen eventually.
Yeah. Yes, true. Yeah. And what do you make of the characters?
I think they're all played really well. I like the fact that you've got almost a traditional comic effect, silly one-liners, which are done brilliantly. Maz's character offers some light relief up until things really take a turn for the darker. I think Steve, we know what Steve can do. We know what Steve's capable of. It was only a couple of episodes. He was in a basement with someone chained up, playing his darkest character we've seen. Yeah, but there's that dark side to this one as well.
Yeah,
behind the straight-laced, almost the job's worth that we saw in Private View is kind of back again. So there's like some aspects of that, and I think Nick is quite complex. There's a lot going on with Nick.
Yeah, definitely. He's obviously interested in folklore and that kind of stuff, and he's done a degree in it and ended up in this job, which he
might as well have done a degree washing dishes.
Washing up, yeah. I mean, some of this was a little bit close to home for me. I've been in that situation. I have been in places just like that, in hoarders' homes where I'm looking for deceased people. The lights aren't on. There's no electricity. Well, the weirdest one was where the lights weren't working, but the TV was on, but just showing static. And
that must have been a little creepy.
Yeah, I had to find the pile of old lady porridge on the.
Oh,
it was on a chair rather than a settee. But yeah, that picture was one that I know.
Right. I felt like when they came in and they were having that conversation with Maz and they were sharing that with Maz, it felt like that they had reached that point in their careers of doing this and working together where they are just making inappropriate jokes about things they found, because it's just that's how they get cope by these days. Yeah.
Thanks. You'll get used to it. We've had worse than this, haven't we, Keith?
Oh, yes. This is a veritable potpourri compared to Stanley Gardens.
Oh, no, that was bad. Widow, been there 18 months. Nothing left of her. It's a pile of old lady porridge on the settee.
With a hat on top.
Oh, that's rank.
That's the job, Mary. You never know what lies in wait.
As a job, because, I mean, at least for me, so for people listening, just to give you some context, this is a job as an undertaker. And for me, when I've been in those situations, I've always thought, thank goodness I don't have to sort this house out, which is obviously what they have to do in this episode. Yes, yeah. Which, like, where do you start? Like, putting yourself in that situation, like, the floorboards, obviously, that, you know, that's the priority as far as Keith's concerned for Maz and Nick to kind of approach.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, where do you start? And they don't even have, like, do they have anything, anywhere to put things, or like what? Well, what's their plan? What is their plan?
It's so claustrophobic in there. And what I felt a little bit like was they'd managed to take, you know, that sort of horror scene, or even actually an action sequence where people are hiding from each other or chasing each other around like a big warehouse. Mm-hmm. And they managed to sort of scale that down to the exact same effect, but in a tiny council flat.
Yeah.
All the boxes of stuff piled high and giving lots of places to hide and shadows to fall, and really give quite a creepy claustrophobic atmosphere. I thought it was quite clever.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, overall reactions to this episode, like, I'm slightly conflicted. Like, I think it's an amazing episode, and really enjoyed it. But I'm slightly conflicted between, do I want the supernatural element to have become what it did, or because there's something quite nice about
it.
Yeah, the ambiguity of, like, is this real? Are these wishes coming true, or is it just coincidence? And then obviously when Frank appears, like, there's the answer. You know, this is all supernatural. So, which I don't mind, but I don't know whether what I would prefer. I don't know.
It's another one like The Prestige, and that ending of this. We're back here again with that. Oh, that's annoying. I kind of liked it as it was. The difficulty is, it kind of had to do that in the end, really, because there was a cause of death given to you right at the beginning of the episode, which then changed with the video of him hanging himself.
Yeah.
So that was it, really. At that point there was no choice. It had to go down that route, really, unless it had been someone else that had been shoved through the coffee table and killed.
Yeah.
But since you were shown that, when we then see the video later, and I'll be honest, I was kind of absorbed enough that I didn't really pick that out when I first watched it. I went, oh, it was a suicide. Right. It was only when I then went back and went, hold on a minute. Body through the coffee table.
Yeah.
Well, these are mutually exclusive.
I didn't pick up on that. The only thing I did pick up or did think was whose package.
Yeah. How did that get in there?
Yeah.
I have to say, you don't strike me as a Mary.
People call me Maz, and you do strike me as a Mary, if you don't mind me saying.
Why, because I wear glasses?
Basically, yeah.
Gentleman's name was Frank Maggins, 68 years old. Fell through a glass coffee table and bled out, apparently.
I think because that's the moment where you don't really know what the episode is. You don't know what sort of genre we're dealing with.
It could be an episode of Grime Fighters.
Yeah.
Remember Grime Fighters?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, because until there's the moment where Maz, so she's like wanders after she's hung the rat up, she wanders back through and there's a creaking door, and then she's drawn into the room where the order of service is on the mirror and puts it back on, and that's where it kind of clicks out and she finds the safe. And even then, it's not until, I mean, when do you realise it's a horror?
I don't know. I don't really know. Is it as they start unpacking what he said in the video? I guess it's Nick being freaked out by the hair.
Yeah.
And what he's just heard about the hair, and then starting to piece things together about the wife dying and the brother's accident and all those things. I guess that's where it kind of slips into it, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I suppose, when the rat comes back to life in...
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
In the bag after he's wished that it was... Which is a really terrible use of a wish, but...
Depends.
But then it didn't have an adverse effect, did it?
As far as we know, yeah.
True. Yeah.
I think that's the thing. This is based on a short story called Monkey's Paw, which Nick mentions in the episode as well. And the whole basis of that and the basis of this episode, and I think it's kind of now been told in various different ways that it is a be careful what you wish for scenario, that if you do mess with fate, you may find that the things that you wish for arrive in ways that are less than ideal. Yeah. Like that story itself, like the origin one, someone wishes for 200 quid, and then he goes to work, gets mangled in some machinery, and the family are paid £200 by the company as a compensation payment. That's what we're talking about here.
It's that kind of nothing comes without a huge.
Everything has a price.
Yes, exactly.
Which just makes me think of that. It's the Rick and Morty episode, which is the Stephen King ripoff, where the guy opens the shop that everything's free, but has some kind of cost, like the aftershave that makes you irresistible to women yet also impotent. That's your price.
Yeah.
What? He won the lottery?
Looks like it. Maybe he was a bit of a Howard Hughes, but without the germ phobia, obviously.
Why would you live in a council flat full of shit if you're a millionaire?
Show some respect.
Sorry, Keith. But seriously, 3.5 mil. I would be like Ferrari, massive mansion, special edition Yeezys.
What's that?
Trainers.
All right, yeah. Push the boat out, why don't you?
Oh, a boat? Why not? Though my dad did say, if it flies, floats or fucks, rent it.
That's enough.
What I find quite interesting in this one with the price that you pay for the wish that you make, like with Maz, it's her. The moment she takes the money and runs away and hides, it's the fact that Nick and Keith go after her and actually back her into the corner that then causes the
Rube Goldberg machine.
And so it's Nick saying like it's not going to end well, like and it's almost I can't remember exactly what he says, but it sounds like it could be a warning, it could be a threat.
Maz! Listen to me. If you take that money, something terrible will happen to you.
And it's like, is that a warning? Is that a threat? And it turns out to be both, really. But
I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? Is that there is this supernatural element at play through the hair that is sending fate in a different direction, and it creates a new fate for you based on what you've wished for. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I guess you see it literally with the objects creating that Rube Goldberg machine effect that leads to her being stabbed through the head. Yeah. But there's kind of that in a wider sense going on, that the moment that she wished for it, it then set into motion this new series of events that were going to result in what then does happen to her.
Mm-hmm. A bit like Final Destination.
Final Destination, yeah.
Yeah, you can't escape it.
Yeah. You can't know. You can't escape Nick, who's made it quite clear that something terrible is going to happen to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean,
and he links it to kind of to greed as well, doesn't he? Which, like, I really love Maz's. I wish for £93,000.
£93,000.
I've thought that through. It's not
always be specific.
Yeah, exactly. It's not too much, but it's enough to make a difference. And maybe it's that enough to make a difference that changes fate that is the problem. But yeah.
Because Frank ends up with 3.5 million, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And so what they suggest is that he was just trying to spend all his money on kind of trivial things that couldn't have an adverse effect. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you buy enough Blu-ray players, there's every chance they'll topple down on top of you and kill you.
Buying enough stuff to create a hoarder's paradise, which is highly dangerous. Yeah. Sounds like not the greatest use of the money. But
I don't think so. No, hire some storage space somewhere and put it in there. Don't live in it.
Yeah. Or just give it away.
But then, who knows?
Hide it in the...
Hide it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess it depends on what happens. That must be quite stressful. I've got this money. Literally, what do I do with it at this point? Because everything I do with it could hurt someone horribly.
Yeah.
I guess just keep it in a Monopoly box.
Exactly. Or at least 100 or £93,000 of it.
See, that was strange. The money swap thing.
Yeah.
Because that speaks to something supernatural going on, because it was very convenient. Mm-hmm. But why did her wishing for it cause it to end up in Keith's hands?
Well, I suppose that is almost the adverse problem, isn't it? Because it's the fact that Keith has it and Keith wants it.
Oh, that means that she has to try and grab it and run with it. Right. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Whereas if it was in that bag with where the Monopoly money was, both her and Nick would have a clearer picture of, that's obviously what you've just wished for. So. And it's kind of I love the discussion around ownership of the things that they've wished for as well. Like, she calls the rat Nick's rat. It's like, he's like, it's not my rat. But she's kind of obsessed with it being his pet. And like, when Keith then smashes it to death, you're like, you haven't actually asked Nick whether he wants to keep it.
It's Nick's rat.
It's Nick's
Nick
rat.
wanted this to stay alive.
Come on. And then obviously Maz is talking about the money as it's my money. I've wished for it. And the other thing I was wondering was, the assumption is there's 3 wishes, but do you not get a wish? Do you not get 3 wishes per person?
Yeah, or it's not 3 wishes per scenario.
I don't know.
you've started a scenario now. There's 3 wishes allowed within this context, and that's it. Yeah,
I think they might have 9 wishes.
You reckon?
Yeah,
but everything they're doing is guided by the fact that they think they only have 3 altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in Aladdin, when Jafar stole the lamp, he didn't only get the leftovers, did he?
No.
He got 3 of his own.
3 fresh ones. Yeah.
Maybe they should have thought about this.
Yeah. They didn't. It was just assumed right from the start. We've got 3 wishes. Yeah. But then that, that Freudian, the trio, it's as if they're just one
They are
person.
one person.
Yeah.
But consider this, Maz.
This is Frank's wife, Brenda. I'm not being rude, but she's a bit of a...
She's overweight.
Yes, she's a beast.
I think the word is obese.
Anyway, within 6 months, she gets ill and ends up looking like this.
She had cancer, yes. That's what happens.
But here, in Frank's diary, Brenda upset about her weight again. Poor sausage. I wish there was a way I could help her.
Poor sausage.
You see? He wished for her to be thin. She gets cancer, weight drops off, she dies.
How could you eat? That's just sick.
So Keith's motives are underneath the whole story.
Yeah.
How much does he know about the hair? And how much is he convinced by the hair? Are we thinking probably not really at all? He's not.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Because rather than why didn't he wish for his son to not be a rent boy anymore? I mean, not be in a wheelchair anymore.
You're the rent boy.
You're the. Why?
No one has to be a rent boy. It's fine.
Why did he not wish for Charlie to be able to walk?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I felt like that was something that it was building up to. And that was something that he was trying to get to grips with.
And I think
throughout the second half.
I think that's where he is that sort of the middling character who, because like Nick has obviously studied this sort of thing. He believes in it. Like
he's fully bought into it.
Yeah. And Maz is just in the moment. Like, okay, if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing.
Let's wish for stuff.
Yeah. And then Keith is just, he's got his little plan. It seems like he's not really kind of swaying from that. The money is there. He wants to help the ones he loves. And the money is how he's going to do that. And yeah, the hair doesn't really figure in that plan. And he hasn't really adjusted that. Because, I mean, when he's watching the video, he must be like, how's he? I've killed him.
Yeah.
I threw him through a coffee table.
Well, that's the thing is that video, it depends on, I guess, what your timeline is and whether that was recorded before. But then why did he put it in the safe? He must have picked up the hair and tape and put them in the safe. Must he have watched the video before that to know that it belonged in the safe?
Who put the hair in the safe? Keith.
Keith must have put the hair in the safe, mustn't he?
I assumed that Frank did.
After it failed.
Well, because he can't kill himself, can he?
No, that's true.
And so he's put the hair in the safe as somewhere to put the hair, hoping that no one finds it. And he's put the video with that.
The question is asked who put the suicide video in the safe.
Oh yeah, because that's Nick's asking, because that's the little mini revelation, isn't it? Of like, hold on a second, if he's dead, who put the who put the hair in the safe? And then obviously it comes out that, because I think the immediate effect of that twist is you're assuming, especially when he says I killed him.
Yeah, that must be that may be me not fleshing it out properly.
Yeah, you're thinking then, Keith's killed him and then he's put it in the safe. as opposed to Frank's not actually dead, which is the second twist.
The second twist, the more supernatural twist.
Yeah, the supernatural twist. Yeah,
supernatural.
There is no magic. There's no shortcuts. If you hadn't found that stupid video, Maz would still be alive. We could have just done this job and gone home.
Hang on a minute. We found that video locked in the safe. So? It was his suicide video. Who put it there?
What are you trying to say?
Maybe Frank isn't dead.
Frank is dead, Nick.
Yes, but how do you know?
Because I killed him!
So what do you keep in your kitchen cupboard under the sink?
Cleaning products.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see the under the sink cupboard as the one for any sort of food stuff, tinned or otherwise. Our tinned pears are not in there.
Kidney beans.
That's mainly because the tinned fruit isn't really eaten by us. It's eaten by the small person in our house. And she has her own little tin of stuff. So that doesn't live under the sink. No. Under the sink is for cleaning products.
It was a really interesting little moment. It's like, no matter who you are, you have the same things.
Yeah.
Kidney beans, peaches in syrup, icing sugar, and a dead rat. Which is not everybody has the dead rat.
No.
But it's like, that's not... I don't think that's normal. I was trying to work that line out. It's like, is that telling us something about Nick trying to... He's just not quite all there, or
is Reese some sort of deviant who does keep
well, maybe
those sorts of things under his sink? Yeah. In which case, where does he keep his bin bags? Is what I want to know. Yeah. And where does he keep the Dettol?
Exactly. It's almost like a flawed attempt at Michael McIntyre style observational comedy. Yeah. It's like you'll know this. And it's like, no, no one has that.
That's not true at all.
Yeah, and then that sets up the that little motif of things from the 80s.
Yeah, I really like those.
Yeah, he says put Roland.
VHS existed well into the 90s.
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely. That's not from the 80s. Betamax is from the 80s.
That's from the 80s.
Jack and Ori.
That was in the 90s. There was some Jack and Ori in the 90s as well. I think that was it, wasn't it? Roland Rat, VHS, and Jack
Roland
and Ori.
Rat, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Packaged in VHS.
What's a VHS?
It's from the 80s. I assume you were trying to find a passport or will or some such.
Exactly. You're just trying to find his prostate.
Probate.
Quite nice the moment where they find the VHS and put it in the video, the tape machine, and Jeremy Paxman.
Yeah.
From the 80s.
It could be 80s Paxman, yeah.
It could be 80s Paxman. There he is.
He has been around for a long time, Jeremy Paxman.
Yeah, he has. Like Michael Parkinson.
Like Michael Parkinson, yeah.
Yeah, and then so you get the story of he bought this hair. So Frank has actually bought this hair from a holy man in Jaipur, which is kind of exorcist style type thing, isn't it? Like, well, it's the monkey's paw as well, isn't it? Yeah. All I'm thinking of is that there's a Simpsons Halloween special, I think.
Treehouse of Horror one.
Yeah, it does the monkey's paw. And it's that same thing with the kind of mysterious, like otherworldly from the east, cursed thing, which is slightly offensive in many ways.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a whole world we don't understand. That was in Ghostwatch as well, wasn't it? When Sarah Green was telling her story about how she woke up and there was the Indian lady another curse from the east.
Yeah, just the overt racism.
Yeah, That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Inside this package is an object that has ruined countless lives, including mine. I got it many years ago for a small fortune from a holy man in Jaipur.
You got ripped off there. Could have got it from IKEA for a tenner.
Quiet. He told me that this artifact would grant the bearer 3 wishes, which would transform my life.
And then we get the Chekhov's gun moment with learning about kind of Nick's background.
Has he got a swallow tattooed on his jaw?
Is it a swallow? He's got something tattooed there. Yeah,
it looks like that. I mean, a swallow is a good place. I mean, your throat is a good place.
Oh, swallow!
To have a swallow
here. Yeah,
maybe that's what it is.
Just a reminder. Visual.
Although I can't see it. Have you ever tried looking at your own throat?
What do I do with this? Swallow. Yeah. Don't tend to eat with looking at a mirror either. So Nick, it turns out Nick's made some bad choices. He's been given a second chance. Yeah, that's an interesting phrase as well, like in the context of, chance and luck and all of that. And he's been given the second chance by Keith. But yeah, the Chekhov's gun thing is the alcoholism, which we're obviously going to see come back at the end. Which is, again, one of Steve's just horrific characters. The way that he sets that up, it's just grim. Like, it's like, come on, mate,
splashing vodka all over his mouth.
Yeah, and so because I was thinking, with that second chance thing, it's like actually Nick ultimately would have been better off not having that second chance, not having that fate changed by Keith, giving him that. Because that's ultimately
because it's what it's led
to.
Yeah. But he wished for that second chance.
Yeah,
and this is what happened.
And he was given it, and this is what happened.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, never say I wish for anything,
because a rat might come back to life in a plastic bag.
Exactly. And this is the moment they realise that Nick wished. He knows he wished for the rat to be alive. And they realise the rat's alive, and Maz's absurd judgment or comment is, "Damn, that means we've only got 2 wishes left." So it's her her decides that they've only got 3 between them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Nick is properly freaked out by all of this. Nick is fully invested in the fact that he knows about hares, and he knows that they are a bringer of mischief and
tricksters,
bad stuff, really. And he's straight away he's into this story. He's into this reasoning behind what's happened here with the hare. He doesn't really seem to have much doubt at all.
Yeah,
Keith is playing it as though he's not really committed either way. The thing is, I don't feel like he would be that shocked or act in a particularly shocked way to find out that it all was genuine. I feel like he would take it in his stride.
Yeah,
he seems like that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, his reaction to the rat is that in a nutshell, because he just gets annoyed with the fact it's squeaking
and beats the life out of it.
Yeah, and then says, "Sorry, I couldn't concentrate." It's like,
I mean, the whole first chunk of it is pretty sinister when you consider the fact that he knows what's happened there. When he walks in, he's talking about what's the scene that they're attending, and he comes across as someone who takes his job seriously and respects the lives of the people whose houses he's now having to essentially invade. And see the sanctuary that those people have kind of built around themselves that they've then died in.
Yeah,
it is quite invasive. and he comes across as someone who's very respectful of that.
Yeah, and he seems like
job.
He hasn't lost perspective.
Yeah.
Like, and Maz has only just started the job, but he's like reining her in with kind of inappropriate comments that she's coming out with and stuff.
Yes, it turns out.
Yeah,
he caused the death.
Exactly.
I did wonder. He kind of starts to get to grips with the idea that maybe this whole wish thing is happening, and it must be going through his mind that he could sort out Charlie himself. Except he must have some conflict there as to, well, I've seen what's happening here, and I've seen what goes on when things are wished for. I wondered ultimately at the end if what happened with the explosion in the house. I mean, it wasn't directly related to Charlie.
No,
Charlie was able to walk, and I did wonder. I did think that at some point that was the wish that was coming. It was nice that it was Nick's character that did it, but that's also a bit of a dark move.
Yeah, because he's the one who knows that every wish has a.
Yeah, I guess so. Actually, no, that's
has
a
price.
To do.
Yeah,
no, he must. Yeah, that's dark.
Yeah,
that's much darker than I first given that credit for.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's you can look at it either way. I think it is slightly ambiguous, but I think just given the fact that
he's so tied up with
Nick, who knows the folklore, he knows how it all works, and he's wished for that. He was
dead against Maz wishing for anything because he knew that something bad could come of it.
Yeah,
that was not a nice thing to do, was it?
Not really,
because I don't know whether the explosion at the end was the bad thing, or were we going to find out that something terrible had happened so that Charlie could walk?
Yeah,
leg transplant. There are his mum's legs.
Do you reckon? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's it.
Good theory, man.
Like no, they belongs to a deer. A deer had seen too much.
Why don't we just ask for shitloads of money, like 50 million each?
That's exactly what Frank did. Look what happened to him. Just a stain to get rid of. The wish granter, he's always vengeful. If you're greedy, you pay the price.
Yeah, but it's like the tax man, isn't it? I claimed for a Happy Meal because I found a receipt in the trolley outside Tesco, and he never came after me.
I don't think you can compare fate to the Inland Revenue.
The revelation starts to really take root with learning about Frank's wife, Brenda, who used to be a beast.
She was a beast.
And then 6 months later, she was thin. And so, yeah, that's a perfect example of one of these backfiring wishes of if you just wish for help with her weight, the route towards that could be quite horrible.
Brutal.
Yeah.
But you'd probably start to, as soon as the first one had kind of backfired on you a bit, you'd probably start seeing how specific you had to be with your wishes for something bad to not happen. Well, actually, that's a good point. I wish for this, and in wishing for this, I want this to happen with no consequences.
Yeah.
No. I want my wish to come with no consequences. I wish for that.
Yeah. But then, would that alter the structure of the wishing system?
That's a ridiculous line, isn't it?
I know. It just kind of undermines the entire thing itself, doesn't it? It's like this system has been created that
you can't undermine it. For goodness sake,
you can't undermine it.
I know what we should do. We should wish for unlimited wishes.
It won't work.
What? How do you know?
It never does. You can't wish for anything that will alter the structure of the wishing system itself.
You get that great line. I wish we could just go back to work and get this job done, from Keith. And then Maz is like, that's not going to happen now, is it? And then Nick's like, no, you have to be holding the hair.
Look, my point is, we've got 2 wishes left. What are we going to use them on?
Well, I wish we could just go back to work and get this job done.
That's not going to happen now, is it?
No. You have to be holding it.
One thing about a lot of this series, I think, is that there's not too much doublespeak or hidden meaning going on in a lot of these episodes. And a lot of it is just kind of out there and is what you'll see. It's just in the writing, I think, and it's not layered up. It's just a case of this. There's been a lot of storytelling in this series, I think, and it's been really strong storytelling, and it almost hasn't been reliant on massive bombastic twists to blow you out of the water.
No,
they've been there, but it's felt a bit more like there's storytelling going on. And in this, there isn't necessarily layers and layers and layers of stuff to peel back, but the story itself is really quite an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it does tie together themes. This episode ties themes that we've discussed before. You know, like fate and how events turn out based on situation. Like several, especially think of like the first series where like Tom and Jerry and A Quiet Night In, and those episodes where things don't quite go to plan and everything unravels, and it's kind of similar to this. Like,
I think that's the interesting thing about their hair and the use of the hair, because this must have been a moment for them when they decided, right, the hair is going to take center stage in this episode. And in doing that, you open the door to, whether you mean it or not to be the case, to the idea that this universe is all tied together somehow. But I guess because they're all this disparate set of stories that don't have a common link between them at all, once you spot the hair, and people would have spotted the hair way back, I imagine, although apparently it was around the time, not long before this aired, that Reese had said it is there in every episode. So I don't know whether that was a setup thing of, we want you to be thinking about the hair and why that might be familiar to you.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a retcon thing where they're saying, right, here's the hair, and by the way, it's been in all these other ones. It is a common theme through all of them, and this is what ties these unfortunate events that you've seen for the last 4 series together. The presence of this hair, it's an odd one. I don't know I'm not sure what the intention is.
Yeah,
is it just leaving it up to viewers to decide? Take this how you like.
Yeah, which is, I think that's kind of summed up my potential issue with it going supernatural, because it's like, actually the hair represents fate, twisting fate, things turning, like not going as they should have or could have or whatever, which is the sort of thing that you see in every episode, which can be just a general life thing. You know, we in all of our lives, like, events happen that change the trajectory of everything, and there could be a hair, there could not be a hair. Like, it's, yeah, I don't know. And but I do think, yeah, you're kind of left to make up your own mind about that.
This far in, it almost feels as though they had it planned for a specific point, or they weren't convinced that they were going to be commissioned past this episode.
Yeah.
And whether when they wrote this, they're like, right, this is our wrap up. This is potentially the end of Inside Number 9. And by the way, that hair that's been there for the last 23 episodes, here's a little tie-up with the hair, and that's it.
Yeah.
But then you've got another potentially four series after that, where I guess the hair is still popping up, but doesn't have... Yeah, is it still doing its work throughout it, or is it in every other episode just a hair ornament?
Yeah, exactly. It'd be interesting to see, how they use it from here on in. Like,
every four series there'll be an episode. It'll be like a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah.
Where it's the hair episode again.
I know you, don't I? You came from the council. One minute you're trying to help me, and the next you're pushing me through a glass coffee table. Yes, sorry about that.
What I found interesting to think about was just the fact that the bad stuff that happened, a lot of it was the result of just their actions, the three of them acting, believing that there was either through the greed, like Nick and Keith. Like if Nick had just been like, okay, Keith, whatever, just take the money.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't actually make any difference to me. I don't want the money. Like I'm not wishing for the money.
Yeah, Nick was still... I guess actually Nick wasn't really acting out of any kind of sense that he should do the right thing by the money. Nick was freaked out about the potential implications of taking the money on his own fate, wasn't it?
It was almost like, and Nick's knowledge of this thing is the thing that makes everything go bad. Like,
yeah, that's the curse. Nick's knowledge is the curse.
Yeah, exactly.
Frank, we haven't really spoken about Frank himself, who appears back from the dead. And that's not something that I saw coming at all.
No.
And even when he walked in, I did not call that as being Frank.
No. I love how just softly he emerges, because it comes out of there is the horror moment with the torch, like a bit of torch and terror as Keith's like wandering around, like he's heard kind of creaking and whatnot, and there's a figure that's moved in the background, and so he's going around with the torch, and then it's just Frank. He's hungry, looking for his peaches. Yeah, and the introduction of Frank in that way is a big anticlimax, a very soft thing where it's like, oh, I know you. You're from the council. You came to try to help me, and then killed me. Yeah.
Again, he very softly delivers the revelation that he can't die.
Yeah.
And that means that I guess he will survive what happens at the end as well.
I suppose he will, yeah.
Having blown up the flats.
I wonder where he'll live after that.
I don't know. What this is a story about homelessness, really.
Well, Frank.
Poor Frank.
Just wants some peaches and a flat to live in.
The realization of Keith, what's about to happen, Steve's face is a picture.
Yeah.
As he gets to hug his child who can walk. What's that smell?
Yeah.
Oh no.
But
and that's his own doing.
Keith's created his own fate there.
He has.
Yeah.
He's created, unfortunately he's created all of their fates.
Yeah. And right from the start, from his greed, right from the word go, as he's gone to try and get money. And I wonder why Frank, if he was trying to get rid of his money, didn't give...
Because I think Frank was probably...
protecting
If you think
Keith.
about the fact... Well, yeah, he was probably protecting Keith and Charlie, because his fear is that the moment he hands that over, there are the
bad
consequences that come with it being used in that way. And so he was actually, he was probably desperate to kind of get that information across to Keith, but didn't think that anyone would take that seriously.
Yeah.
So
and the irony is
say no.
Him saying no leads to this cascading thing that leads to the same fate anyway.
Well, there you go. Maybe that's fate.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't really have control over fate.
Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Exactly. And
Final
it's just
destination,
an illusion.
You're going to die. If your time is up, if your time is, ultimately. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what we're told, that we think we have control, but we don't. And fate will get you in the end.
I am so hungry. I don't know what's happened to all my food.
Frank, what are you doing here?
This is my flat. Where else am I going to go?
You're dead.
I had some tinned peaches in here somewhere. I know you, don't I?
If you have any thoughts on this episode or anything else from this series, then send us an email, aquietnightinside09@gmail.com. Get in touch via Twitter at AQNIN9, or leave a comment on the Libsyn site, as has happened recently. Thank you, Isla, for leaving comments. Very kind of you. And thank you to those of you who have left lovely reviews on iTunes. Michael Simpson. That was a very nice thing that you said. So thanks.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Cool. See you soon.
Hopefully we've still got a listener base after next Saturday.
Hopefully.
If so, see you soon.
If not, see you soon.
Here you go. You've got a visitor.
Charlie?
Look, Daddy, I can walk.
I wished it for you, Keith. It's what you deserve.
Oh, my boy, my beautiful boy.
Daddy, what's that smell?
Oh, no.